You know, it's whenever I make these kinds of videos, I never exactly know how much of my thoughts I'm going to sort of skip out on or forget in sharing my kind of overall assessment of the game so far. Now, we have not yet finished Tales of Arise. This is an impressions video. Now, of course, we've gotten up to the third kingdom, the happy little egalitarian socialist kingdom where everyone's these, I guess, fairly waged slaves or whatever. I don't really know. Whatever. But anyways, I'm going to share my thoughts so far. What do I think of Tales of Arise? Because I don't know when we're going to get around to completing the game, so I'm just going to share my thoughts on it right now. First and foremost, this is why people call anime gay, okay? This is why they call anything that's JRPG, it's gay, okay? Because here's the thing with the main character. He overreacts to the entire world like a woman. You got this smoking hot chick, by the way, Shion. She is far more stoic and pragmatic, much like a man, than the freaking main character, Alphen. For some reason, Alphen has to be pissed off 24/7, and he has to have like an emotional hysteria about everything happening in the world. He has to always have this moralist compunction about him where it's like, I can't believe they would enslave people, this is wrong, oh my gosh, these tyrants, the oppressors are evil, we must fight them.
It's over. That Zephyr's still gone.
Focus on the positive. We defeated a lord, and under difficult circumstances too.
Focus on the positive? Zephyr's dead, Shion.
And the Renans ruled this world unimpeded for 3 centuries. Did you think there wouldn't be any sacrifices?
So Zephyr's life just doesn't matter? He's dead, Shion. Our friend is dead. We're fighting this damn war to keep people alive.
Yeah, you're right. This is a war. Did you just realize that? Zephyr wasn't the first to die, and he sure won't be the last. If you can't handle that, Alphen, then you should run back to Calaglia. And when you do, just remember to leave the blazing sword here, in safer hands.
What's that supposed to mean? Damn it. She just thinks she can say whatever she likes. Bickering among ourselves at a time like this isn't gonna get us anywhere. Especially at a time like this. Alright. Fine.
You get this kind of writing in a lot of these sort of, I guess, JRPGs or whatever, but it's just these really emasculated male characters where they basically process and reason like women. What it is, in some essence, is it's gender androgyny. You know, they're making the women behave like and think like men, and they're making the men behave and think like women. There's even a point in the game, which, by the way, flip the roles and see how acceptable this would be, right? Having freaking Alphen slap Shion across the face if she was getting all emotional and worked up and irrational, and he just slaps her across the face, we'd be like, oh, I can't believe he would do that. What an evil man. But guess what? In the game, Alphen is the one that's being emotional and irreverent about the situation, and he's all like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so worked up about this moral issue I'm having with this thing that's going on in the world, and what are we gonna do, and blah blah, and then she just slaps him across the face. And right, no one's gonna get pissed off about this, apparently. But it's like just outright basically disrespecting the male character, and of course the male character behaving like a female. So I guess he did deserve it, technically. It's like if you're gonna act like a woman, okay, fine. But of course we know that if a female character were behaving that way, and the same thing happened from a man, we know how people would be clutching their pearls and be like, toxic masculinity, oh my gosh! And they'd just be melting like a freaking popsicle on the freaking spot, okay? So anyways, there's a lot of gender androgyny in this game. I can't stand it. The rebels have both male and female freaking warriors. Also, the rebels, apparently they have no gear, they have no armor, and they're a bunch of scrawny chicks and a couple of dudes. And somehow they're taking out hulking men who are from a superior, I'm assuming in the world, also genetic, because they come from space, a superior genetic race of men in iron suits of armor. These guys are like 7-8 foot tall. They're bulking, huge in mass, and they've got iron armor that cannot be penetrated from any angle. And they're taking these guys out off screen, and you're like, bro, these guys came from freaking space. Like, they technically colonized this planet. Well, they did. They colonized this planet. They subjugated the primitives, is basically what happened. And we're sitting here acting like the Renans in this full suit of freaking armor. These bulking, massive dudes. We're acting like it's logical that they're getting wrecked. It makes no sense. I just don't even get it, bro. So anyways, you have this whole freaking just egalitarian bullcrap. We're acting like the men and the women are basically equal, that their positions in the world are equal, and that the way that they process things is equal. You have this really hot chick, she's got thick, tight breasts. And what you've got with her, she's super hot, okay? She's blonde, super hot. She, later in the game, is the boss babe of her freaking little kingdom with this guy who looks like a white dude, by the way. He was meant to be a white dude, no doubt. And he turns out to be a brown guy, brownish black. And it's like, what is going on here, bro? That you have this guy who's a completely different race than the rest of the people in the kingdom that he somehow is the leader of. And then he has a freaking commander chick who's a freaking boss babe, and she's super logical and pragmatic, unlike a woman. Again, she's basically a sexy dude a sexy woman in a dude's persona, a dude's archetype, a dude's personality, whatever it is. It's a smoking hot freaking chick, for some reason, behaving, thinking, and operating like a man. This is so ridiculous. And listen, when you get her freaking back shot and you see her freaking anus, you're like, God damn. But then outside of that, you're like, well, what's going on here, man? I'm so unbelievably confused about the creation of the characters in this game, because the women behave more like men than the freaking dudes. And the dudes, they act like and they think like women, man. Even the freaking the colored dude who literally has a white dude's face, but because of ESG, they sit there, or some element of ESG, but because of ESG, freaking colored guy, he was basically a white guy. And for some reason now, we have to put a freaking white guy in blackface, is what we're doing. It is so ridiculous. I don't get it. And that will happen in the third area of the game. I'm also going to say this about the story. All the plot points happen way too quick. And I've got a bunch of criticisms for the story so far in the game, but the plot points, they're happening way too fast. Where the characters go, how they get there. Alphen, you start the game with the guy as a slave, and then he suddenly frees himself very quickly out of being a slave. You meet Xion, the smoking hot chick with pink hair, the chick that has thick, tight breasts. That chick. Yeah, you're gonna meet her, and she's hot, and you're gonna find her some clothing. And of course, and here's the thing, by the way, bro, a real gentleman, this is a huge problem with the game, a huge issue with the continuity, huge issue with the narrative. For some reason, when she's getting dressed into her battle maiden armor, freaking Alphen doesn't guard her as she's undressing. Listen, any man that understands how to be a gentleman, you can never cease your protection of a woman, especially when she's undressing. And the fact that Alphen sits there and he doesn't defend Xion when she's getting dressed, bro, you don't know, someone might attack her when all of her clothes are off. I don't get it. It's so freaking gay. But this guy, bro, you should be defending a woman no matter the cost, especially when she's undressed. But I also have to say this about the game too, and it's the romance that develops between Alphen and Xion. It's clear that Xion is freaking soaking wet from the second she meets Alphen. She's trying to play hard to get, but this chick is freaking soaking, bro. Every freaking dialogue line, every freaking element and essence of the story. She's sitting there, she's like, he's gonna come on to me eventually, right? Please do. Please, Alphen. What are you waiting for? She's sitting there and she's super desperate, bro. She needs it right now. And he just won't give it to her. And this is the thing I cannot stand about anime writing, is where you have these two characters who are obviously hot and heavy for each other. And anime, I don't get what it is about JRPGs and anime, but these freaking Japanese Japanese writers and developers, they're so scared of freaking true intimacy between men and women. They're not afraid in certain games, and like, you know, Final Fantasy recently has been doing this more and more. They're not afraid of ambiguous homosexuality or just outright homosexuality. For some reason, they don't have much of an issue with sexuality and being kind of clear about sexuality outside of straight, normal relationships. If it's degenerate, they'll deliver upon it and they'll go the full 9 yards. I don't know why. They're way more comfortable with expressing homosexuality. But then when it gets down to a freaking dude with a freaking chick, we have to have the slowest of slow burns where it's like, this guy is going to die a freaking virgin. This guy is never going to get laid. This main character is being cucked out by the writers extensively. What is going on here? Bruh, it is some of the most frustrating bullcrap with JRPGs and anime, where it's, listen dude, they're the most normal stories that we can get nowadays in the world of modernity. But what's the problem with that? They're not even that normal. They're still ESG, they're still woke. They're just certain elements of wokeness, they're less so on all of that. But let's just be clear. I mean, there's so many elements of wokeness, multiculturalism, the whole, am I a male or female whole thing? Am I, you know, just think of anything that's modernity. Even the JRPG dudes, they can't get this stuff right. Listen, it's all freaking woke. It's just not as woke. And you're gonna see less elements of wokeness in stuff like JRPGs. But I don't care. I cannot stand this about freaking anime games, anime stories, where the guy is always, and this is again, the gender androgyny, where we make the men more like women, the women more like men. The dudes are super scared of approaching and coming on to women. I can't, oh my gosh, I can't touch her. Oh my gosh, I can't flirt with her. Oh my gosh, God forbid I make it clear that I'm into this chick and I want to freaking smash. We can't do that. Instead, what we have to do is that we have to create these characters, create these stories where the man is super afraid of coming on to women, and then the women literally come on to the men harder and stronger than the guy will ever come on to her. She behaves like the man, she behaves like the assertive, and the man is behaving like the passive. What is going on here? Why can we not just have male characters? They see a tight piece of freaking anus and they're like, I want to freaking smack those cheeks, girl. What's up? Why can't we just get that freaking crap? And sure, you can flower up the language a little bit, but who gives a crap? Love of God, just have the guy freaking come on to the chick and say, I want to smack cheeks, girl. What's up? What are we waiting for? Like these guys, it's not even just that, right? They're not patient. They're just freaking cocked. They're just cocks, and we're acting like this is normal. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But these guys, they're so afraid of just saying, girl, I want to freaking smack some freaking cheeks out here. He won't do it. He's a freaking cock. He's freaking gay. I don't get it, bro. I don't understand. I don't understand why anime characters are so freaking gay. This is what they do because you have certain anime watchers, anime viewers who think this crap is normal because they've been cucked for generations, thinking if a guy just doesn't come on to a chick, eventually she's going to magically come on to you. What the frick, bro? That doesn't happen. As a freaking dude, you have to, and you operate within the assertive. You are the predator. The female is the prey. That has always been the way it is. Women are the gatherers, men are the hunters. That is what it is. Women are the passive, men are the assertive. That is what it is. That's how it's been all throughout time and history. That is the absolute psychological premise of men and women. And what we have in these stories are women who think like the hunter and men who think like the prey. What the frick is going on here, man? Holy crap. So it's freaking annoying, okay? I cannot stand this with anime stories. The only reason I was sticking around, because I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Why am I still around for this story? Why am I still paying attention? Why did I go longer than 4 hours? Well, because Shion's really hot. Literally, like, you know, sexually and also gameplay wise. Shion is so hot in the game that I'm like, I want to just continue playing the game because this is one of the few hot chicks that we can see in a video game. Nowadays, you look at modern games, you look at modern characterizations, all the women look like men, all the women behave like men, all the women are in men's roles. At least in this game, even though the chicks are basically thinking like men and in men's roles, at least they look like freaking women. They are largely effeminate somewhat. At least I'm just looking at a female. At least I'm looking at a chick. She has a thin frame. She's not stuffing her mouth. She's not a freaking Goliathan beach whale monster that I'm staring at that makes me think, holy crap, all my testosterone just exited my body, and now I guess I'm a woman now or something, right? Holy crap, this freaking chick, this behemoth female just turned me from a freaking dude into a woman. That is modern gaming. That is the West right now. We just have a bunch of freaking women who are these disgusting behemoth creatures. And we're acting like the human race does not deserve to go extinct after you look at a freaking female that makes you think, I'm not mating with that, bro. I am not going to procreate with a freaking behemoth. Okay, the chick looks like a dude who is like, I don't know, he messes around in the mud every day. He covers his face with feces, and now he has the skin quality of feces wrapped around his face. Listen, we as dudes, we're not into other dudes. When we're into a chick, we're not into women because they look like other dudes. If we were into chicks because they're basically like men, we'd be banging other dudes. We'd all be gay right now. The point is, bro, is that we're not freaking gay. For generations, men have not been freaking gay, okay? Stop showing us masculine mother effing women. It's freaking disgusting. So, why did I continue playing this game? Because the women look like women. Now, of course, the dudes, I mean, largely, they, love of God. Listen, the whole femboy thing with anime games, there's nothing wrong with a dude, like, looking the way that anime dudes look, but there just comes a point where it's like, why do all the dudes look like this? And then there comes a point where you're like, bro, I'm noticing that there's too much similarity between the dudes' chins and their jawline and the women's jawlines. What is going on? What is happening here? At some point, right? It's fine that these guys that we love to call femboys, they're fine. They're fine characters, and they're not exactly femboys, but there just comes a point where it's like, okay, there's too much androgyny. That's like, okay, I get the whole freaking femboy argument and criticism, because for some reason, JRPG developers, there's something about gender androgyny that they beat off to it, bro. They beat off the gender androgyny now more than they do a freaking chicks, a tight, thick chicks, pair of freaking breasts, okay? For some reason, we have to now regulate male sexuality. For some reason nowadays, we have to consistently sit there and act like there's something wrong about men just fervently wanting to bang women. What the frick? Yes, dudes want to bang the living daylights out of freaking women. We like having sex with women. What is wrong with this? Why can we not have freaking stories where dudes, oh look, a chick that looks like a freaking woman, okay? Wow, she has effeminate features. Wow, I could procreate with this. Oh wow, now I'm banging, oh I slipped inside, now I'm banging her. Wow, this is great. Why can't we just have characters like this? Why can't we have stories like this? Why can men not just be straight? Why is it that we have to have all this ambiguous homosexuality? Why is it that dudes have to be so afraid of the freaking females? What is going on, bro? I don't get it. I truly, I don't understand. But this is one of the number one things that pisses me off with this game. It's just how women are portrayed and how men are portrayed. And okay, again, let's just get back to the story though. It develops too quickly. Okay, we have a couple of boss girl moments for freaking women. Okay, not too many, but here and there, we try to make them seem like they're more competent than they really are. But for the most part, the women are supportive, even if they're kind of talking down to the male character, even if a chick like Xion is more logical, pragmatic, and deductive in reasoning than Elfin. And by the way, whenever Xion's just talking down to people, it gets me rock hard. I don't know why. But anyways, that's aside from the point. The thing is that despite her being basically in a much more masculine archetype kind of persona, she still behaves like a woman in the fact that she's the helper, not the leader. She's the helper to the main character being the man. The man, the male character, he's the star of the show. He's the guy that is riding the ship. He's the one that everyone's dependent on. He's the savior, all right? And her having possession of a certain core that gives power, that allows him to manifest a sword. she can only fully utilize basically her power if a man wields the power vested within her. So it's like, I can mostly appreciate the way that they create the gender dynamic, because basically the man is riding the ship, right? And it's the woman that is the helper or the supportive role, which, by the way, that's what women were made to be ever since the inception of time. So, in that element, they're honest towards the gender dynamic between the men and the women with Alphen and Xion. But again, I cannot stand... Okay, anyways, I just can't stand how Alphen is so afraid to come on to freaking Xion and just be like, "Dang girl, what's up?" He won't do it. Like, Alphen, just freaking go in for the chick, bro. They keep on talking around a campfire. She keeps acting like she's not soaking wet every second of being around this guy. Bro, he can't feel the pain of touching you. You have this Thorn's weird curse, okay? Well, he can't feel pain, so just freaking help the guy freaking rub one out. And I guess the freaking, I don't know, whatever the freaking electricity stuff is about, I guess it's a part of the pleasure. Just freaking do something. Be a straight couple for once, love of God. Again, we are so afraid in modern stories because we have to treat our viewer like a child. They're so afraid of intimacy between men and women. And this is the problem with these modern writers. They think one of the problems that you have with certain modern writers is that they think their only premise of how to sell a story is through sex. My character's having sex. That's why you're waiting to get to the next part of the story, is because you want to see the chick's boobs again. You want to see the chick naked again. You want to see her getting railed again. Well, okay, hold on. Whoa, bro. Like, love, do you have a story? Do you have a narrative? Is there something going on here? Like, you can't just sell a story purely on sex. But then the issue you have with, and that specifically goes on within books, I'll just say that right now, books are the ones that largely do this. With gaming and even movies nowadays, though, it's that we have to literally drag out the romance between these two characters. We have to cuck out the male and the female. Why? Because for some reason, the writer has no other idea of how to make a compelling story beyond the fact that we're trying to sit around for the tension, the romantic tension between the male and the female characters. Bro, how do you not have more of a story going on? Be like The Witcher, Witcher 3 specifically, but I think all the Witcher games were basically like this, where there's way more of a story past all the sex. Geralt's getting freaking laid. We're seeing Triss's freaking boobs. She's getting freaking railed in from behind by freaking Geralt. She looks freaking hot getting freaking railed, okay, bro? We love looking at this chick naked. She's hot, she's smoking hot, she's sexy, okay? But there was still a story going on beyond the fact that she's getting railed. You need to be a competent enough writer that if there's sex, and there should be sex, because men and women, you know, the whole thing, it's a part of normality, a part of reality, is men and women, they meet each other, guys like, "Dang girl, what's up? You freaking smoking?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm smoking." And then clothes are off somehow, magically, all the clothes just disappear, like with Triss Marigold, and then you're like, okay, well, let's smash in the freaking pond. And then you smash in the freaking pond water. You know, maybe you get a freaking bacterial disease because it's pond water, but who cares? It was worth it. And then also, by the way, Geralt is probably immune to pond water bacteria. You know, Triss might not be, so she had to use a spell to work it out, but Geralt is, because he's got cat eyes and he has all the mutations. By the way, I think actually in lore, Geralt is immune to poisons, like most toxins. Anyways, and it's because of the trials of the grasses and all that crap. Anyway, let's not get talking about Witcher. So, you need to have a story, though. You need to have a story that has sex. It needs to have romance between the characters. Man meets woman world, all right? Boy meets girl world. They have the romance. The man and the woman, they have the frickin' sex, right? Geralt and the frickin' other women in the world. You know, and in this case, with this game, Alphen and frickin' Xion. Where the frick is the sex, bro? They should have been banging since the beginning of the game. Well, somewhere around the beginning, before they exited the first area, which is Caligula, or however the frick you say it. Before they leave the freaking volcanic area, they should have had sex. Freaking Xion is soaking wet by this time. Bro, this chick is going to go dry if she keeps soaking, okay? Make freaking use of this crap. I don't get it. It's freaking annoying. And again, once you have the sex between the main characters, the main male and female character, then you have the rest of the story. Then you continue selling the story to your freaking customer, your audience member, whatever, by continuing the story beyond the sex. Because there should be more of a story going on beyond sex. And by the way, I don't really want degenerate crap like Game of Thrones. Like, listen, right? totally into freaking women and their boobs and sex with women who have boobs. Okay, cool. Totally into all of that stuff. But, you know, there's an element where it's just like, you're just indulging too much in this crap. And I'm not trying to get too, like, finicky here. I'm just simply saying that there's a level to which you will execute these things in such a way that is depravity. There's a lot of depravity in the world of Game of Thrones, and I get it has its own kind of point, but there is a point where it's just depravity, and it feels like liberal catnip. And by the way, this game itself is liberal catnip in its own way, but like, liberals love to be disgusted, and they love to have moral hysteria about everything. It's freaking annoying. Okay, I just simply want a nice story, an elegant, regal, sophisticated story where, like The Witcher 3. Witcher 3 did it well, where it's just, you know, fantasy elements, chicks who look like, I guess, what, succubi or something like that. Okay, you got different types of naked chicks and girls banging a bunch of different naked chicks. Okay, cool. I'm into it. I like it. Nice. Stuff like Game of Thrones is like depravity sex, where it's like everyone's trying to kill each other. That's the point of their sex. And everyone's trying to backstab each other. That's the point of their sex. And everyone's like, and you know, you got some gay degenerate stuff in there too. And like, what the frick is wrong with the author? Stop it, bro. Just don't even put that in a story. It's gross. It's disgusting. Anyways, the entire world of Game of Thrones is depravity sex. And I'm just in no way whatsoever. I cannot stand depravity sex. And that's not what this video is about. I'm just sharing my thoughts. That's just what I think. Again, have normal romance between your male and female characters and have them freaking bang and have more of a story to tell past the banging. That's the core point here. So past all of that though, the story happens way too quick. You defeating this lord of the freaking, I think Caligula or whatever, the freaking volcanic area, happens way too quick. This guy's supposed to be a big deal and he just gets defeated. Like, snap of the fingers. What is going on here, bro? He was supposed to be this big deal, big enemy, and then he just gets defeated like that. Just in this blink of an eye, he's gone. And then we go into the snowy area, and then honestly, kind of a femboy. I mean, he looks like a freaking woman when you first meet him. What's the freaking dude's name? The rebel leader guy, his son ends up in the snowy biome, and his son's, you know, again, looks like a feminist gender studies professor. Then you realize, once you get a closer look, you're like, oh, that's a dude, okay. Again, the freaking gender androgyny is annoying, and he has this colored hair like a freaking female. What the frick? But yeah, ultimately, that guy, the rebel leader guy that you know, who apparently teaches you some really great lessons that really aren't that great, he dies in the snowy area, and he gives this really lame speech, and he is just way over delivering it. The writers are feeling themselves as they're writing the freaking speech. I mean, they think that they're revolutionaries. They literally think that their video game is solving world hunger or something. They're like, live your dreams, and even if it looks difficult, and even if there's a giant mountain before you, just keep going, because eventually you'll get there. And you're like, okay, that's not exactly true. I mean, just because you try to climb a mountain, it doesn't mean you're going to overcome the mountain. And anyways, these writers are simpletons, all right? I'm just gonna straight out say it. The writers are simpletons. They're not that smart. But here's the thing. They don't have much competition in the field today, right now. So that's for one. And everyone that's in the West, they're crapping the bed. So your competition is basically brain dead. Yeah, I mean, when you're the only person reading on the freaking planet, you're the freaking fastest reader on the freaking planet. And that's what's going on here, is that, like, well, everyone else sucks at storytelling nowadays, so whatever these freaking JRPG writers come up with is immediately good. Not because it's good, but because the competition sucks nowadays. Go back 10, 15 years ago. Dude, there was so much competition. I mean, like, it was literally between 5 to 10 games that you're like, Game of the Year contender. Nowadays, it's like basically only 2 to 3 games a year, if not one, is a true Game of the Year contender. Freaking last year, literally, 2023, Baldur's Gate 3 was Game of the... Are you kidding me, bro? Listen, it wasn't that great of a story. Listen, it really wasn't that great of a narrative, and in some part, even gameplay. Although the gameplay seemed mostly alright, but really the story just sucked dog water. But this is what's happening, is that these debauched simpletons are becoming the best of the best in their field because no one else is allowed to compete. Again, we have this ESG takeover of the entire field, the entire industry. If you had the writers, who, by the way, were not leftists, from a couple years ago, those guys, if those guys were still writing today, we'd be having great stories to this day. We'd be having true cultural masterpieces being made. But we're hiring the freaking losers now. And Tales of Arise was written by a bunch of freaking losers. Simpletons. People who went through an Ethics 101 course, and they thought that they were really smart and intelligent because they came down to some kind of moral position about what some other random philosophical thinker, some like little buzzword phrase that they think of. Oh, utilitarianism, or some other random word. And it's like, well, let me make a game where my whole philosophy is about utilitarianism or something, whatever. Typically something liberal though. These guys are not well read. They have not challenged their own ideas. They're not intelligent like old writers. Go read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Go read, by the way, it's a dilemma. That story, that book is about a moral dilemma in the psychology of man. Has nothing to do with mental illness. Just freaking liberals think it has to do with mental illness. Anyways, we made a review for that. I don't need to go into it here. Liberals are idiots, that's all. And they cannot stand reality. And what Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is about is reality. But go back and read stuff like Dracula. Go back and read stuff like Lord of the Rings as well. And there's things I have to criticize about Lord of the Rings, but it doesn't matter because overall it's good. I just have certain criticisms, that's all. But go look back at what old authors made. Go look at old stories, because all of it was superior storytelling, superior writing, superior dialect from between the characters. Nowadays, everything is written by and for adult children. People who are possessed by the fantasy mind, and people who cannot, for whatever reason, they are so obsessed with positive emotion, they want to outlaw negative emotion. Well, moron, negative emotion is a core element of storytelling. Sorry, the core element of storytelling. You don't have a story without negative emotion. You can't just remove negative emotion from a story. You won't have a story then. But that's what we have with these stories nowadays. That's what we're doing. Stories now are written by adult children, and they are no longer written for adults, and they're no longer written for speculation, fascination, and imagination. It's written for propaganda, and this game is a liberal catnip because it has a whole thing about slavery and being anti-slavery and anti-subjugation, and oh, how dare those colonizers who are better than us genetically and technologically, how dare they make use of our planet and take over our culture and assimilate us to their ways, even though their civilizations have cleaner water, better technology, higher quality of life, blah, blah, blah. Oh, how dare they? Stop. Just stop. And again, like all the philosophical as we go through the game. And I spend the entire playthrough, by the way, just breaking down every element of how they keep getting things wrong. I can't go into everything that I talk about in the playthrough here, but I've gone through some elements, but listen, man, they just don't understand male psychology. They don't understand the gruesome and the civil mind. You cannot suffocate either or. A man must possess the gruesome and the civil mind. He must be the both, the sophisticated man and the barbaric man. By the way, the writers, they love to nerd out over their own world that they're creating. They'll literally geek out in these needless little like comic book kind of cutscenes where the characters are talking to each other, and Alphen just literally recites what the freaking characters are saying to him. You know, a character will sit there and be like, "Did you know that when you breathe, you're breathing in oxygen, and the oxygen is the life force of the planet entering your lungs, and then you're exhaling the life force of the planet, and then you breathe in again, and it's bringing in the life force of the planet, and you're constantly resuscitating yourself as you breathe. Did you know?" And Alphen's like, "Whoa!" Oh, you're so smart. I didn't know that when I breathe, I'm resuscitating myself with oxygen. Holy crap. I mean, seriously, those are the kind of brain dead conversations they'll have. Another conversation's like, did you know that when you plant tree inside dirt, over a year, plant turn into tree, it turn into wood, and it go towards sky. Did you know? And if you water it, it go faster. And then Alvin sits there and he's like, oh really? It go faster. Thanks for sharing me that when you put plants inside ground and it turn into tree, it go faster to sky. What are you guys doing? What the frick is this writing? You guys literally are spending and wasting time with your audience, with your customer. You are wasting their time by going on about basic crap. Literally, you have this freaking Renee chick, or whatever the frick her name is, I don't care. She has a gay owl follows her, alright? Owl's kind of cute, it's still gay. But anyways, just the fact that this owl's hanging out around her is freaking gay. But here's the thing. She's literally sitting there and she's explaining away that when she's casting off spells, she's doing incantations, and that the very exact way that she executes the incantation is very important, or else the whole incantation gets effed up and then it doesn't turn out right, or I think it turns out disastrous and possibly she blows up. Okay, well, Alvin then sits there and is like, oh really, thanks Renee, thanks for sharing with me that when you're doing your incantations, you have to speak very carefully or else you die. Oh my god, Alvin, we heard her he will literally recap what she says like 2 or 3 times. Bro, we're in the cutscene. I hear what she's saying. How stupid do you think I am? And they literally act like the lore in their game is basically like a science textbook. And they're literally teaching you, like, hello, class. Did you know today that the way that trees grow? Stop it. Why are you treating it like I'm reading through a freaking Geology 101 freaking book? And I'm saying it right now. The writers think like literal high schoolers, like fan fiction high schoolers, bro. What is going on? Why are we hiring these people? And they're just liberals too. They have the philosophical considerations and the philosophical depth of liberals. They think they're saying something, and by the way, I mean, this is a certain element of just retardation. I don't even understand. But they'll literally sit there and like one of the characters, freaking, I think his name's Zephyr, the freaking rebel leader guy. He'll sit there. A giant lesson that he's telling Alvin is, well, you know, Alvin, even though you hate the Renans because they subjugated our people, the Danans, and blah, 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 you have to understand that not everyone within that group of people are the same, and not all of them are responsible for what some of the Danans have done. And it's like, no freaking dip, guy. No dip that some of these people think differently from one another. But hey, newsflash. There's a reason why there's stereotypes. Hey, guess what? A lot of people are herd-minded. What one person says, they'll parrot it themselves. Most people, yes, they think alike to one another. People within their specific groups will think similarly to one another. So although, yes, here's the thing. There's individuals within any group, but the individuals are always the minority to the herd people. But we're acting like this is some kind of like unraveling wisdom coming out of the freaking Zephyr character. And that's why you can't get too upset at your slavers. Not all of them, because not all of them are evil, because some of them are the good guys. And you're assuming, by the way, that the people against your position are the bad guys, by the way. And again, this is, oh my gosh, again, we go through it. There's so many problems with the writing. And this is why I get so sick and tired of, is the trope of the rebel group, of the rebels, and how apparently the rebels are never the bad guys. Apparently the rebels are never the pieces of trash, right? They're not a bunch of fat, stupid, lazy losers. And that's why they got subjugated by the freaking stronger, the smarter, and the hardworking freaking enslavers or colonizers. No, it's always these people who look almost exactly the same as the freaking oppressive people. It's just the only difference, really. And by the way, they're not fat, they're not losers, they're not lazy. Some of them are even attractive, or most of them are even attractive, right? They don't have this distinction where that for some reason the rebels are actually the POS losers. No, for some reason in our story, the rebels are always basically equal to the oppressors, even though that's not real within real life, for one, and for two, there are legitimate stories where the rebels are the douchebags, where the rebels are the bad guys, or they're just a neutral party. They just don't like being under the rule of the Empire anymore. There's not even a good reason for why they're rebelling. They're just like, we're just fed up. We want to rule this freaking society now. You don't have stories like this. It's all propaganda. It's all liberal catnip because it's clutching your pearls, the entire story about slavery and getting off on the idea of freeing yourself from your shackles very easily, by the way. Literally, it is fear prawn and it is liberation prawn is what it is. We are fetishizing liberal sentiments is all this is. It's a freaking kink, bro. And it's for freaking liberals who need to get off on their moral hysteria kinks. But that's the issue with this story, is that the rebels, for some reason, they're not the douchebags. For some reason, they're always the ones who are correct. You have all these stories that basically want to be a copy of Star Wars, and Star Wars was good for what it was during its time. But dude, love of God, this is such tropey, and by the way, tropey writing is lazy writing. Someone already figured out the blueprint for you. You're just following it, and now you're basically grifting off of someone else's blueprint. You're grifting off of J.R.R. Tolkien. You're grifting off of George Lucas, and you're not doing a good job. That's why you're a grifter. You're not doing a good job. You're just copying the blueprint, the format of what they did to make your story. You're a lazy writer that doesn't have ideas. Stop. I don't know how these people get their jobs. They don't meet the requirements. They don't meet the standard, the bar of expectation. But somehow we get these effeminate writers or men who are writing like freaking women, clutching their pearls about things. And this is the thing, I'm so sick and tired of these stories. And I was talking about this during the playthrough as well, but there's so many better stories that you could make. But it's like, write your characters, for one, like men. The men, okay, your male characters, your main characters as well, they're enslaved, all right? Instead of the main character being a woman and having moral hysteria and clutching his pearls every second throughout the story about their situation, you know how you write a male character, how you write an adult male character who thinks like a man, who doesn't think like an adult child. He sits there and he's like, okay, well, it sucks. We're slaves right now. What do we do? And that's it. Okay, we're in a crappy situation. What do we do now? Instead of moralizing every 2 seconds about how you disapprove and you disavow of what's going on in the world, no, you put up with what's going on in the world and you overcome these impossible odds. That is every male character, every masculine character in storytelling is the guy who stands up and says, all right, what do we do now? All right, this sucks. What do we do now? It's the guy who does not complain and berate people morally, ethically, whatever. Complaining about morality, by the way, is how a child thinks. Ethics and morality does not matter. Efficiency, productivity, and results is what matters. And a male character, masculine character, will look at the world and say, all right, we're slaves. So how do we get through our days faster? How do we get through our days happier? How do we get through our days where we're overcoming the hurdles? How do we get past whatever problems that is before us? How do we overcome these hurdles and how do we overcome? They live in a world with legitimate problems and legitimate circumstances. There's a reason why they're enslaved. There's a reason why the situation is as it is. It's not purely arbitrary. So make your characters not treat this situation as arbitrary. All right, so we're enslaved. What do we do? All right, guys, how are we going to get through this day? All right, guys, how are we going to overcome our odds, our situation? We don't write characters like this anymore. We write characters that constantly clutch their pearls like a bunch of freaking college leftists. You know, I graduated with my freaking gender studies bachelor's, and now I somehow got a freaking gig writing up a crap story, fan fiction story for a AAA or a AA game. So now I'm just gonna sit around writing out my freaking liberal, pearl clutching fan fiction, and I'm just gonna be raging off against basically conservatism. I'm going to be a closed-minded fool and not understand all the good that there is behind colonization, and I'm instead just gonna make a story where I'm against colonization and I'm gonna make my propaganda. But that's the thing nowadays. We don't get stories that are edgy. We don't get stories like truly edgy, adult edgy, not child edgy like we get nowadays. Liberals love their childish edginess. No, I'm talking about adult edgy. I'm talking about What stories anymore these days are controversial? What stories nowadays are offensive? What stories nowadays treat you as an adult and allow you and treat you as if you can make your own decisions for yourself of what you think of the subject matter? One of the last mature stories we ever got was like Metal Gear Solid 5. Literally, there was a scene, the raw freaking reality, even though Quiet has these powers, she gets tied up in shackles around the end of the game, and literally you have one of the male troopers, he pushes her over, bends her over, and he starts unzipping and unbuckling himself to forcibly copulate with this freaking woman. They don't boss babe her or anything. It's literally just, oh yeah, you know, she's in servitude to these guys in a war zone, and now she's gonna get forcibly copulated against. And you don't see something like that happen in a story anymore these days. Instead, it's shame male characters. Instead, it's, and by the way, you get an awesome scene there, right? I believe, I forget the exact execution, but Snake ultimately saves Quiet. The soldier was about to have his way, and then Snake is the one that comes in from behind and takes out, I think he slits the throat of the soldier. But that's an awesome moment, bro. There's an awesome moment in the game for the characters. And instead of having that awesome kind of a moment, now we have to woke wash everything nowadays. And now it's just toxic masculinity, this freaking women are always the victims, that. And yes, by the way, that kind of a scene still does serve the purpose of a leftist to say that toxic masculinity and women are always the victims. But you get the point I'm making. They would find a way to rewrite that scene instead of the offensive thing happening that makes a great scene out of it for Snake to rescue Quiet. And by the way, that's how I remember the scene. We're just gonna go with it, all right? That's how I remember it. And you know what? If that's not how it actually worked out, well, that's how they should have written it. But you don't get scenes like that anymore these days. You get scenes like what you see in freaking gay modern games like freaking Spider-Man 2, where literally you have a woman that's beating up in a wrestling match. She's kicking into the stomach of a guy that she defeated in a brawling match. And there's a crowd of men around her and the dude getting beaten up, watching the guy get freaking the daylights kicked out of him. It's so gay and stupid because if you know anything about men and women, bro, that woman fighting a man, she would have gotten the daylights kicked out of her within 2 punches. It doesn't work out like that. But that's what I'm talking about. We can't have enticing scenes anymore, whether they're offensive or not, controversial or not. We have to baby our freaking audience now. And that is where we're at with the gaming. That's where we're at with the entire industry. You look at a game like this, it's all liberal catnip. The heroes always win. The heroes are always right. The heroes are never the douchebags. In the freaking rebel group, they're never the douchebags. They're never just a bunch of lazy morons who deserved every bit of getting enslaved, and now they're just dealing with it. They're trying to overcome their situation, and maybe if the story is amoral, or maybe the rebels are wrong, or maybe there's more going on to the story. But listen, I am so sick and tired of how stories can only be written one way. Every story is about how the rebels are always the winners. The rebels are always the good guys. I'm sick and tired of this crap. Throughout this story, you're going to have moments where characters speak in a way, specifically an inspiring way, especially with Zephyr's character. He'll sit there giving these grand speeches. They're really not that, because dude, if you're not a freaking raging idiot, the speeches that he gives are really not that enlightening, that sophisticated, that philosophical or wise. He's saying really simplistic, liberal BS. And he's saying things that, like, is easy to contradict his points on. Like, no, you're wrong because of this, Zephyr. Or, no, that doesn't mean what you think it means because of this reason, Zephyr. And the other characters, too, they also have their own elements. And again, the narrative develops way too quick. Major plot points. We go from A to B within the span of 30 minutes. Other stories would have taken their time because it's like, taking over a kingdom does not happen in 5 days. At the very least, it should happen within a month. But they literally, it happens within under a week. The plot points develop too quickly. You get to the head honcho, the freaking big bad guy, again, within like 1 hour of your character being a slave. What is going on, bro? And finally, I'll just say this, the combat, I'm not a big fan of. The combat literally has an option though, that the game will play itself for you. It'll literally auto combat. It'll literally play itself, bro. That's the game. You can turn it on or off, that the game plays itself. It is ridiculous. Like, they literally designed a mechanic in the game for you to avoid the combat. And I'm just gonna say it, I don't like the combat. It's very stiff, it's very clunky, it feels very awkward. It's just too slow to attack and to build up your attack gauge. And then the abilities that you have access to once you have your attack gauge, they're not very fun to use. They're in fact, they're quite frustrating, and they don't even do that much damage. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I think it's somewhat cool. It's somewhat cinematic gameplay, but not in a way that's annoying like Final Fantasy 16, where it just looks like the gameplay is supposed to be like a movie instead of an actual gameplay. In some ways it's okay that they did that in Final Fantasy 16, but really it's still something to criticize, bro. It's not gameplay when I'm watching a movie of my character doing all the damage and doing all the attacks and having invincible frames every 4 seconds. It's a gameplay movie is what it is, and I'm just not into that. With this game, you have certain cutscene attacks that you can do, basically cutscene attacks that do a little bit more damage or massive damage, and that's fine, that's cool. It's a nice way to break up the monotony of all your attacks and all of your button mashing, but the issue is that the combat itself is not very fluid, it's not very fun. I just didn't like it, I wasn't having fun. So there just came a point where I just started activating the auto combat mode because I didn't want to play the game. I just wasn't interested. And I'm also just going to say this too, you're way too limited in your options. You have so many options of the different abilities that you can use, and the abilities really are not that fun or interesting to use. But for all the options that they give you, you can only use 3 on the ground and 3 in the air. It's not that interesting, bro. I don't like it. You do have different party members though, and they all have their different combat styles. I only really used Alphen. I didn't bother using the other ones. I just didn't want to learn them, quite honest. But maybe the other ones are better, I don't know. But again, so far, I have not finished the game, and I don't really know what I think about the game. I don't know when I'm going to complete the game, because we have a bunch of other games to get to. So that's why I'm making this impressions video, because I was really dragging my feet by the end, bro. We got to the 3rd area with the ESG diversity hires, who are living their little socialist utopia. I think it's literally, by the way, a socialist utopia. They have shared resources, as far as I remember them saying, or something like it. There's something really leftist about what they're doing and how they live, but it's supposed to be socialism, ultimately. It's supposed to be the idyllic state of humanity where everyone's treated equally despite their place in the social ladder, right? The socioeconomic ladder. And we're acting like none of these people, by the way, are just fat and lazy, that they're raging losers. We're just acting like everyone has equal work ethic, including the men to the women, which, by the way, if you know anything about men and women, men have more energy. They are built for work. Women are not. Women are lazy. Women will always let you down when they're a leader and a worker. And for some reason in this story, and by the way, women will always complain about work too. Literally, by the way, there's an entire subspace within working circles. You know, you go look at working circles. You literally have groups of women writing blogs and articles about workforce burnout. For who? Specifically women. Specifically women experiencing workforce burnout, literally complaining about the fact, I don't know, I'm just getting so tired. Oh my gosh, I just can't keep up with this every day. Oh my, you never hear dudes biatching and moaning about having to work and getting burnt out. You never hear men complaining about this. But apparently in this game, they think that men and women are the same, and they think that men and women work the same. You literally have women in the mines. You have women working the same jobs as men. And they literally think that they can set up this socialist utopia and get away with it, where no matter where these people are, socioeconomically, it doesn't matter, and everyone's just going to be treated the same, and they're going to view each other the same, which is absolutely false, by the way, because, by the way, women, the way that they mate select, is completely based on socioeconomic hierarchies. So the miner dudes, the dudes working in the mines, they're gonna get freaking pissed off eventually because they're like, none of the chicks want to bang me. They want to go freaking bang the freaking ESG prince or something. I don't know. Or if not the ESG prince, they want to go bang his freaking guards. And not the normal ones. They want to go bang his freaking Secret Service guards. But again, liberal ideas only work if you remove reality and instead you insert your propaganda. Anyways, man, in the end, this was a game made for absolute children. This is a game written by writers who did not deserve their jobs. They suck at their job, and the only reason I picked up and played the game for as long as I did, going into it like, what was it, 15 hours or whatever? And I think I spent like a good 6-7 hours breaking down and disseminating the entire game whenever I saw something that was just a narrative issue or this is why stories suck now, right? Anytime I got talking about this stuff, that added to the playtime, but I just couldn't push myself through it. Listen, I like looking at the sexy women of the game. I like that they have nice looking breasts, all right? They have nice boobs. They have nice figures. They have nice freaking anuses. But staring at a chick's butt and her boobs all game is not enough to keep me in your story. Because this is the question you have to ask yourself. If they removed the female characters, would I still be here? And if they made the women ugly or whatever, if they either removed them or made them ugly, would I still be here? And the answer is absolutely not. This is liberal catnip. And the only reason you're here for the game is because, frankly, you're just horny for the freaking chicks. And for some reason, the writers are blue-balling you the entire story about these women and their romantic developments with the main character. And what my guess is that I guess Kitase, the hot blonde chick, I guess she's a romantic option for the main character later in the game too. I don't know. Whatever it is, listen, JRPG women are freaking hot. There's freaking smoke shows. They look like women. They don't look like manly behemoths like we have in the West now. Apparently, in the West, our idea of a woman and our idea of a woman that any guy wants to procreate with is a woman that looks like a man. Okay? Well, I guess that's why everyone should be gay, right? If women look like dudes, and that's, I don't know, maybe that's why they want you freaking gay. I don't know, bro. Seriously, if all we have to mate select with are women who look like men, why the frick would we continue the human race? It is disgusting. I don't know what it is, but listen, I'm not into chicks with freaking beer guts, alright? I'm not into chicks that have freaking stubble on their chin. I'm not into chicks who have these raging biceps and shoulder muscles. I'm not into it. And I am simply not into chicks with pecs for breasts, okay? I'm not into it, bro. I don't want this freaking Western bull crap. So why do I like this game in some part? Because the women are freaking hot. You remove the women out of the game and there's no reason to even take part in the story. And that's why I just couldn't finish the game, bro. It's gay, it's anime gay, it's JRPG gay, which means it's some level of ESG, it's ESG light. They don't go the full 9 yards. It's like a 7 out of 10 on the ESG scale, ESG rating. That's how a lot of JRPGs go. They're on the ESG rating, bro, and they're pretty high. They're not sitting there and saying, oh, we need to cut off certain parts of your children because, that's inclusive and that's very tolerant. No, that's a freaking 10 out of 10 ESG game is when they're talking about, mutilating your kids and sitting there and being like, one culture's women should be mate selected for specifically another culture's men, right? That freaking stuff. Multiculturalism is what I'm talking about. ESG is when you're trying to put women in men's roles. Love of God, let's not get into it. But just one more example, ESG is also when you act like that there is no cultural identity and you act like there's cultural androgyny when you try to make a black culture a white culture, and of course vice versa. It's like, no, white culture came from what? White people. So a game like Forspoken is just a bunch of freaking black people trying to hijack a white culture, because that's what the whole story was about. It was basically white culture or white concepts and myths and themes. They literally name the freaking chick of the game, Frey Holland. The idea of the Fae, right? That whole mystical fairy tale concept, of like fairies and whatnot, the whole idea of the Fae, the whole idea of a location named Holland, those are all white conceptions, bro. Anyways, you have games that are higher on the ESG rating, and they do so many things to subvert culture, reality, as well as the two sexes, the two genders. But that doesn't make it non-woke, and that doesn't make this acceptable. This game was freaking woke liberal catnip. It's just for, I guess, the liberals who are a little bit tired of their degenerate stories talking about mutilating kids. And adults, by the way. It matters that they want to mutilate everybody. That's it. This story is literally for the liberals who are tired of their fanatical stories from the West. But they'll come back, bro. They'll come back. And again, there's not that many of them. They're not buying their own stupid products. Heck, freaking people like me are buying more of their products than they themselves. How many people bought freaking Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Yeah, barely anybody. Literally day 1 and 2 of me playing that game, I could not get into a freaking open lobby. I'm glad the game failed. But love of God, these ESG losers, bro, and these stupid ESG games. This game was made for ESG people. And again, if this game did not have smoking hot chicks, I wouldn't have even played it past the first area. Would I suggest you pick this up? The answer? No. You're better off just buying a freaking Playboy magazine from a couple years back. Now Playboy's woke. Just go buy a freaking Playboy magazine because these women are not enough to sell this game. Again, if you're playing this game for the freaking women, okay, then you're literally just buying a time-consumptive and expensive Playboy magazine. That's it. Go. Just freaking buy, I don't know, go freaking Jenny McCarthy or freaking Kim Kardashian Playboy magazine. Just go find it, go buy it. Without a doubt, it's probably cheaper, and just freaking get your freaking rocks off, bro. This game isn't worth it.
Where are the bigots? We must defeat the bigots.
Oh. Yo, what's up? Yo, what's up, girl?
Is that a problem?
No, you're hot.
Guard.
We have no problems.
Wait, deliver your
Can we
acceptance.
sex later?
Please don't keep him waiting too long.
Oh my gosh, that cat. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.